Amrit from Walfinch, and today Wellness with Walfinch has brought us to Buckinghamshire, where I'll be interviewing Dr. Nick, who's the founder of the Doctor's Lounge. So, tell us, Dr. Nick, about nutrition. What do we need to know? It's like don't eat chocolate bars.
Small topic, isn't it? Don't eat chocolate bars. Yeah. Look, nutrition is a huge topic, right? And we're actually bringing on we already work with a nutritionist because, listen, as people may not know this, but as doctors, when we go through our training, I'm probably giving away the kind of like magic secrets, right? But we didn't spend a lot of time on nutrition as such, right? We learned about the various food groups and what's right, and over the years you kind of learn various parts about what's right for people in generic health. I think there's definitely more to be done from our side when we're delivering information to people, and I think that's why we're starting to bring on nutritionists, because there's a risk that we just give everyone the same information. I mean, we've all heard it, right? Eat a balanced diet.
Yeah.
Eat 5 fruit. I mean, who picked 5 fruit? I don't know, right? but it's good advice. Eat 5 fruit and veg a day. Make sure you've got a variety of colours, right? There are some really good concepts, and people will argue with it all the time. But the reality is, it gives the majority of people the right information.
Yeah.
I guess then we have to move down to individual cases, and it comes down to what people are trying to achieve, right? So I guess if we're talking about as we age, how can we make sure that we're getting the right nutrition? We've got to decide, are we trying to build muscle? So have we got someone in front of us as a doctor? Have I got someone in front of us that's actually losing muscle? Can I see that on their blood test? If I am, I'm starting to think about protein. Where can that patient get more protein? It might be from nuts, it might be from meat, it might be from certain vegetables, right? So trying to give people the right advice for them. And I think nutrition it's very generic, but it's actually also very individual. There's something called the Zoe device, the Zoe app, right? And there's some great things about it. There's probably some stuff about it that is more than the average individual needs to know. But it's starting to get people understanding what is right for me, right? And people have worked out actually that pushes my blood sugar levels up, but more than someone else it would, or my blood sugar levels don't recover as quickly when I've eaten, a pizza, or Everyone sees fat as a negative, but actually fat is important for us. It protects our bones, it protects our organs. So we have to think about the individual and what they're trying to achieve, and that's where I really think us working alongside nutritionists, doctors and nutritionists, yes, with the exercise, and we talked about that, but with the nutrition, I think we should work much more closely together.
Yeah.
And actually, we don't do it at the moment with our health screening. The next phase is going to start to bring these people into the health screen, right? So you sit down with me and we talk about your medical, you leave my room and you go and sit with our nutritionist and you say, right, where am I now? Tell me about your diet. What do you do? Everyone thinks they eat all right. Whenever I ask people in my health screen, tell me about your diet, I've got a very good diet.
Yeah.
Rarely you'll get someone saying, oh yeah, it's awful, I need to work on it. But most people think that they have a fairly decent diet, but they cheat occasionally.
Yeah.
But what they're not thinking about is the nutritional value of the meals, right? So a pasta meal, that's all right. It's not bad. It's not a takeaway.
Yeah.
That's how people see it, right? Often. But what's the nutritional value? Have you thought about? Have you got your protein? Have you got your carbohydrates? All the things that you need. So I've actually forgotten the question now. But it was about nutrition. How can we provide the best? Well, I think we've got to work closely. And I think if you ask your doctor to do all of your nutrition, you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
If you ask your nutritionist to do your medical stuff, you're going to miss out, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to work together.
That's great, and I think the interesting thing for me is there's so much talk at the moment about gut microbiomes and so on, and really think about fibre, and it's and I'm 37. I've never really thought about any of that stuff, frankly, and I've recently started looking at that. You were talking about Zoe earlier, and I sitting right there haven't done the QR code yet and got on with it, but to try to have that trackable data and start thinking about, well, what am I putting in and how do I improve it? Yeah,
and look, I think it's it's dangerous. I haven't got shares in Zoe, right? And there's probably lots of other. It's just the first one that comes to mind that patients have used. There is a danger of too much information, I believe. As a doctor, when I see people, they worry about the minutiae, and actually they forget about the big picture of the balanced diet, and they're thinking about their gut microbiome when they haven't really thought about making sure they're eating some decent veg. So I think there's a danger in it, if I'm being really honest, and I think For some people, they really need the data and they love the data, and that's almost a bit of a hobby. You know, I've got patients that read more about nutrition than I have ever known before, right? Because they enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a slight danger. You know, we've got to live, we've got to enjoy ourselves. Let's not kind of restrict ourselves to not doing anything.
Yeah.
Let's have some balance, you know, and the word balance has to be in there. So let's get the data, and yes, go and get your health screen done and make sure that you're healthy, and make sure that you know where the issues might be, or when they might be coming. We talked about bone density before. What's your bone density? So those kind of more, the wrong term, but global issues, or the bigger issues. Let's identify those. Where can we improve?
Yeah.
And the nutrition, you know, it's very specialised. You know, if I talk to nutritionists, sometimes, you know, it's a whole new world for me. Sometimes when I'm listening to them. So I think there's a danger in too much information for people. But we've got to be a bit more proactive about how we're eating, what we're eating. You know, there's a huge piece on processed foods, ultra processed foods. And I was talking to my daughters the other day about the fact that we sent them to school the other day with some chorizo in their sandwich. With I can't remember. There was a couple of things in there, and you know, they got home and said, "How was lunch?" And I was like, and you realise what they've had.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you don't proactively, and you know, parents, you're a parent, I'm a parent. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to get your kids to eat good food, but it's not easy.
And at the same time, eat anything.
And eat anything, right? And I think the schools are doing a great job. You know, they're taking out. I know we're talking about the kind of slightly later age, but it starts from a young age.
Absolutely,
right?
habits.
If we can teach people what to think about. Now, as a kid, I always knew I shouldn't eat packets of crisps all the time, right? But at least I was thinking about those things.
Yeah.
It probably should have been taught maybe more in schools. I don't know back then, but certainly now, I think, you know, kids are aware, right?
Yeah.
My kids sometimes say to me, "Oh, at school we're not allowed to have," you know.
Yeah.
Well, at my school you could have whatever you want. Name where I went. But, so I think, you know, teaching people, whether it's a young population, whether it's a middle-aged population, teaching them about what is right for them.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's in a group scenario, whether it's individualised, you know, we've got to be doing that, and it doesn't have to cost fortunes.
Yeah.
Right? So trying to deliver that in some ways.
Great.
So from a nutrition point of view, I would say from the beginning, get rid of the supplements for starters. Start with your diet. The diet is going to be the most important part of what you do to develop the right nutrition. You can always add in supplements later. So start with a balanced diet. We always talk about balanced diet because really that's what's been proven to help with so many different conditions. Look at your plate. Do you have lots of vegetables? Do you have lots of fruit? Do you have some protein, some meat, whether it's meat or if you're vegetarian, can you get your protein from somewhere else? Carbohydrates, they're important. They're not bad to have on your plate. You just probably need to think about limiting. And you do need some fat on your plate as well. So think about, am I getting the right foods on my plate? Start with your dinners. It's usually the easiest place to start, but then start working your way backwards. What can I get from a protein point of view in my breakfast so that I'm not necessarily getting hungry and then overeating later on in the day?